Hey guys, so I haven't uploaded anything in the past few months, and I thought that I'd do a little update video just talking about some of the Canadian marijuana stocks and where they're at in terms of the timeline, in terms of legalization, and just the general market and how it stands and pretty much everything. But over the past few months, a lot of these stocks have been doing quite well, especially the Canadian companies. Like Canopy Growth is up about 45% in the past little bit over a month, and that's quite impressive. So 45% in about a month, it's pretty good. Aprhia also doing quite well. Aurora also doing quite well, although not as well as not as well as Canopy Growth. But what's impressive about these companies is that Canopy Growth, for example, it's already hitting the peaks that it was hitting at the beginning of the year, and considering that it's not really going to be going down that much over the next few months, over the next 6 months or so, well, 10 months or so, that's quite impressive. So, I mean, it's already at $13. It should be going up even more, I think. And yeah, that's quite impressive. I thought that this process would be a little bit slower. I didn't think that it would go up as fast as it currently is going up, but that's what's happening. So, in terms of developments, there have been a lot of developments. Canopy Growth, for example, they have been establishing more growing space. They have been getting contracts signed. They have been establishing the basic framework that they want to have when legalization actually takes place. And yeah, a lot of these companies are doing things that you would expect them to be doing. And looking at Google Trends, it does seem that there is a growing interest in Canopy Growth, for example. Marijuana stocks in general, there is not as much of a growing interest in them, but there is a little bit of a increase in searches, which is good. I can tell you by some of my videos that there is currently a little bit of a spike in the searches for marijuana stocks in general, and Canopy Growth there is a bigger spike, but more people are searching up for some of these companies, and we are approaching the end of the year, which is expected, and the fact that it's happening is good. So more people are looking into these stocks, which is good, and at least partially it is what's driving some of this price up quite a bit. So that's good. Now you're going to be seeing a lot of dilutions happening over the next few months. You're already seeing a lot of dilutions happening right now, but these companies are going to be diluting their stock a little bit, primarily because they're hitting pretty high prices, and that is fine. So you're going to be having these companies get a little bit more money by diluting some of their stock, and diluting when your stock price is at its peak is better, or it's good, uh, or at least it's an optimal place to dilute your stock whenever it's at its highest point. Because if you're going to be diluting your stock whenever it's at like this point right here, these points, you're going to be introducing a lot of stock for a low price. So ideally, you would want to dilute the stock when it's at its peaks, and that's what these companies are doing, which is good. So that's that. Now we also have some other dynamics coming into play. We have Bitcoin. Bitcoin is doing quite well right now. So Bitcoin has been going up fairly consistently over the past year or so, despite the fact that a lot of bankers and analysts and a whole bunch of people have been bashing on it. It's going up a lot, and a lot of people are making money on it. And that's good because the speculators that you're going to be having making money off Bitcoin, those are at least a part of those people are going to be also interested in speculating on marijuana stocks. So the fact that the general market right now is doing quite well, and the fact that Bitcoin is doing quite well, does mean that you're going to be having a lot of free money and a lot of profits flowing around in the system, and that's going to eventually make its way onto these stocks, and that's going to push them up even higher, which is good. And I think at least partially some of this is probably as a response to people making profits elsewhere. So everything is set up quite well for these stocks to do fairly decently over the next year or so. I'm not exactly sure how the dynamics of legalization are going to take place. So in other words, when Canada actually passes its legalization and marijuana will be legally sold in Canada, I'm not sure if a lot of people are going to sell some of this stock, but I will make videos about that later. It's still very early to talk about that. I want to see what's going to be happening to the stock prices over the next 6 months or so. And yeah, that's pretty much all that I really wanted to say. So once again, these companies are expanding, which is what you would expect them to do. And right now, there's not a lot of stuff that I can really talk about. Let me know if you guys want me to do videos on some smaller companies perhaps. I'm not going to be doing videos on like the really small companies. It's not really worth it. A lot of them don't really have that much information. A lot of these bigger companies, you're not going to be really seeing their numbers become significantly better up until probably the middle of next year, I think, or the end of next year. So in terms of actually seeing the numbers of these companies go up significantly, that's not going to be happening for a while yet, but their stock prices should be going up fairly consistently. So that's pretty much all that I really wanted to say. I'm going to try to upload a little bit more. I'm going to try to broaden my scope a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about Bitcoin, but I'll probably do a separate video on that. But anyways, let me know what you think. Let me know if you want me to talk about anything, and yeah, that's it.